emlékszel rájuk?
Rájuk?
Keverék, ez egy korcs, ezután fizetni kell.
Jövök, nem megy sehova!
A 13-year-old girl named Lily. Lily was no ordinary girl. She was introverted, navigating the tumultuous waters of adolescence. Her parents' divorce had left her adrift, struggling to find her place in a fractured world. Lily's sole confidant was Hagen, a scruffy ginger mutt. Together, they explored the quiet corners of their existence. When Lily's mother announced a business trip to Australia, she entrusted her daughter and Hagen to Daniel, her ex-husband. Daniel, a man hardened by life's trials, worked at a slaughterhouse. His memories of Lily were distant echoes from her childhood. Reluctantly, Daniel agreed to care for Lily and her dog. Unaware of his daughter's preferences, he gifted her a simple bottle of soap bubbles, a well-intentioned but misguided gesture. As they stepped into Daniel's apartment, the landlord delivered an unwelcome verdict. Hagen couldn't stay. Lily's bond with Hagen defied rules. She shared stolen morsels with him during dinner, further frustrating Daniel. At night, Lily longed for Hagen's presence in her room, but her father locked him in the bathroom. Hagen's anguished whimpers echoed through the night, keeping both Lily and Daniel awake. Desperate to soothe her pet, Lily played the Hungarian Rhapsody 2 on her trumpet. The haunting melody lulled Hagen into slumber, and Lily lay down beside him in the cramped bathroom. Morning brought an unexpected visitor, an animal control inspector responding to neighbor complaints. Daniel tried to hide Hagen, but the dog slipped out. The inspector informed Daniel of a new law, a tax for unregistered stray dogs. Furious, Daniel refused to pay for his ex-wife's dog. Lily overheard their heated exchange, fearing Hagen's fate. To keep him close, she smuggled him into her music school, hiding him in a storage room. But Hagen's restlessness disrupted class, infuriating the teacher. Lily chose loyalty over rules, leaving with her friend. On her way home, Daniel caught up with Lily in his car. The music teacher had alerted him. He yelled at his daughter. His demand was clear. They would take Hagen, their loyal dog, to an animal shelter. But the girl, tears welling up in her eyes, clung to her best friend. She pleaded with her father, hoping he would relent, but he remained adamant. The car came to a halt, and without hesitation, the man flung Hagen onto the unforgiving street. The girl watched in despair as her beloved companion tried to keep up with the moving car, but his legs couldn't match its speed. Alone and abandoned, Hagen found himself stranded in the middle of a busy highway. As night descended, Lily, the girl, vowed to find Hagen. She tiptoed to the refrigerator, searching for any scraps of meat that might lure him back. But her father caught her in the kitchen, sternly sending her back to bed. Meanwhile, Hagen waited faithfully at the spot where he had been left, his eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of his owner. Yet she never returned. Hunger gnawed at him, and he ventured out in search of sustenance. Along the roadside, he encountered a dog struck down by a car. The dilemma weighed on him. Should he consume one of his own kind? Ultimately, he turned away, seeking different food. Driven by hunger, Hagen followed a tantalizing scent to a butcher's shop. His eyes fixated on the meat, but suddenly a small white dog appeared. "Follow me," the white dog urged. Together, they slipped into the backyard of a bustling market. Other dogs feasted on the remnants of meat, but when Hagen approached the food bowls, they barked fiercely, rejecting him. The butcher intervened, shooing the dogs away. Undeterred, Hagen barked back, infuriating the man. Seeking refuge, the ginger dog hid in the cutting room, but the butcher, armed with a knife, closed in. Just in time, the white dog lunged, saving Hagen from a grisly fate. The white dog led Hagen to an abandoned yard where stray dogs reveled in puddles and drank water. The ginger dog yearned to join their pack, but they rejected him as a stranger. Hagen and his newfound friend observed from a safe distance, longing for acceptance. The next day, danger loomed. The dog trapping service arrived. Hagen and his friend fled, evading capture. Cornered by two catchers, Hagen squeezed through the bars, escaping once more. Desperate and hunted, Hagen darted through city alleys, seeking refuge. He found solace with a homeless person who fed him and secured a rope around his neck. Meanwhile, Lily's father took her to a music school, demanding an apology for her behavior. Lily promised not to search for Hagen anymore, convinced he was nothing but trouble. Yet, after class, Lily returned to the spot where they had abandoned Hagen. Her pet was nowhere to be found. Undeterred, she scoured neighboring streets, plastering missing posters in a desperate quest to reunite with her faithful friend. That same evening, Hagen's fate took a dark turn. A homeless man, desperate for a meal, traded him to a restaurant owner for a few bills and a plate of food. Little did Hagen know that this seemingly mundane exchange would thrust him into a brutal underworld. The following morning, Schabolks, a customer with a sinister agenda, arrived at the dealer's place. The dealer presented a lineup of big, aggressive dogs, but Schabolks' eyes were drawn to Hagen, a ginger dog with thin skin and a gentle demeanor. The dealer warned Schabolks that Hagen was too kind for the fight club, but Schabolks remained resolute. He believed he could mold Hagen into a fierce fighter. Schabolks drugged Hagen and took him home. When Hagen woke up, he found himself in a nightmare. Schabolks fed him protein supplements, aiming to bulk up his muscles. But the real transformation came through cruelty. Regular beatings with a whip and grueling training sessions stripped away Hagen's friendliness. He morphed into a ruthless beast, ready to tear apart any opponent in the ring. Meanwhile, Lily, Hagen's original owner, refused to give up. She scoured the streets, desperate for news of her lost pet. Her search led her to an animal shelter where the owner offered little hope. Hagen's chances of survival were slim. Perhaps he'd been hit by a car or drowned in the river. Alone and stranded, Lily's determination remained unshaken. At night, Schabolks took Hagen to an underground dogfight club. The rules were brutal. 2 angry dogs faced off in a ring, and the survivor claimed victory. Hagen stepped into the arena, pitted against a formidable black Rottweiler. Initially overpowered, he rallied at the crucial moment, gnawing through his opponent's throat to emerge victorious. As the crowd cheered, Hagen stared blankly at the bloody Rottweiler being carried away. Admiring Hagen's abilities, a spectator offered to buy him from Schabolks. When the owner refused, an argument erupted. Suddenly, the lights went out, plunging the room into chaos. Schabolks assumed someone had stolen Hagen, but the dog seized the opportunity and fled. Simultaneously, Lily navigated the night streets. She bumped into Peter, a classmate from music school. Unwilling to return home, Lily asked Peter to take her to a nightclub. Despite her age, they entered as a couple, slipping past the security guard. Inside, Peter abandoned Lily, leaving her alone in the crowd. Jealousy and alcohol led Lily down a treacherous path. Drunk and disoriented, she collapsed onto the club floor, her emotions spiraling out of control. A morning light revealed a harsh reality. The police had discovered weed on her person. They escorted Lily to the police station, where she underwent a drug test. Miraculously, the results were negative, and law enforcement handed her over to her worried father, Daniel. Daniel, racked with guilt over what might have befallen his daughter, tearfully apologized to Lily. Seeking redemption, he offered to adopt another dog from the shelter. But Lily had changed. The desire for a pet no longer burned within her. They returned home, their bond tested yet unbroken. The next day, as Daniel headed to work, fear gnawed at him. Would Lily run away again? She reassured him, promising to stay put. Meanwhile, Hagen, the ginger dog, returned to an abandoned puddle yard. There he reunited with his old white friend, their companionship providing solace. They played near the river, scavenging for scraps, until their quiet existence was disrupted once more by the dog catchers. This time, they successfully trapped the poor mongrels and transported them to a shelter. At the shelter, the owner noticed Hagen's injured paw and promptly sent him for treatment. In the waiting room, the mutts watched a Tom and Jerry cartoon, a brief respite from their harsh reality. Hagen's gaze shifted to a woman euthanizing a sick mongrel in an adjacent room, sealing its fate in a black bag. Fortunately, Hagen escaped such a grim destiny. Treated and placed with other strays, Hagen's trust in humans waned. Unlike the other dogs, he refused to touch the food. The following day, visitors arrived to choose pets. One took an interest in Hagen, but his aggression flared when the girl approached his cage. The shelter owner intervened, just as a concert began at the music school where Lily performed. Daniel, ever supportive, attended the performance. As an employee attempted to cage Hagen with other dogs, the ginger dog snapped his leash. He lunged at the man, ruthlessly killing him. Hundreds of dogs broke free, rallying behind Hagen, their newfound leader. The shelter owner struggled to restrain him, but Hagen easily overpowered her. The pack followed him into the streets. A massive horde of stray dogs roamed the city, hungry and angry. Panic spread among residents as the pack pounced on bystanders, seizing their food. The air crackled with tension as stray dogs encircled the concert hall, their eyes gleaming with menace. Inside, people barricaded themselves, seeking refuge from the impending danger. Among them was Lily, her heart racing, convinced that Hagen, her beloved ginger dog, was part of this marauding pack. Peter, a concerned friend, tried to dissuade Lily from venturing out. But her determination prevailed. She needed to find Hagen to understand why he had joined this violent rampage. Peter reluctantly handed her his bike, and Lily pedaled through the dimly lit streets, her mind focused on her furry friend. Suddenly, the pack emerged from an alley, swift and relentless. They knocked Lily off her bike, but instead of attacking her, they continued their frenzied pursuit. Their goal was clear, and Hagen, now their leader, sought revenge against those who had harmed him. The restaurant owner, who had callously sold Hagen to Schabolks, became their first victim. The man's life ended in a flurry of bites, leaving bloody paw prints on the restaurant's windows. Lily, chasing the pack, stumbled upon the gruesome scene. Shocked and sickened, she was detained by the police for violating the curfew. But she managed to escape and arrived at the butcher's shop, where she discovered another torn-apart corpse, the next victim claimed by Hagen's pack. Desperate, Lily called her father, Daniel. She vowed to find Hagen before the police did. Meanwhile, officers surrounded and shot some of the dogs, but most escaped, continuing their mission. Schabolks watched the news, horrified by the organized chaos. Hagen, emboldened, visited his tormentor, accompanied by his friends. The dog ordered the mongrels to attack, watching as they tore the man apart. A white dog found Lily, urging her to follow. But an animal control officer intervened, shooting the defenseless mongrel. Despite Lily's pleas, the employee finished the wounded dog off. Back home, Lily discovered her father standing over the landlord's lifeless body. Now she understood. Hagen's pack targeted specific people, and Daniel might be their last victim. Lily rode to her father's work, warning him of the danger. But Daniel, equally worried about his daughter, headed to the slaughterhouse to find weapons. Meanwhile, the pack led by Hagen surrounded Lily in the street. She tried to communicate with her pet, but trust was elusive after all he'd endured. Hagen bared his teeth, ready to pounce. Daniel, armed with a blowtorch, rushed out to save his daughter. The dogs grew more aggressive, barking furiously. Lily, desperate to calm them, played a rhapsody on her trumpet, a melody she once shared with Hagen. To her surprise, he calmed down, lying on the ground. The pack followed suit, listening to the soothing music. As dawn broke, Daniel realized the danger had passed. His daughter was safe. Lily lay down opposite Hagen and his pack, a strange alliance forged in the chaos of that fateful night. Revenge had been exacted, justice sought, and the city would never be the same.